The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2020 Week 6 Waiver Wire Pickup Power Rankings, NFL Injury Report, and a little bit more in the comment section after you smash the like button to the video. What I want you to do is give me your favorite waiver wire pickup of the week. Any position. Could be a streaming defense. Could be Andy Dalton. Who knows? We're going to go rapid fire through each of the positions and all of the injuries. And if you want to play in the best tournament on DraftKings, only 2,500 spots this week, making it more exclusive. The Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Listeners League. The link is now available in the description of this video and podcast. So please go get your spot early. Then you have all week to gestate on what you want to do. Obviously, the DraftKings Pick Show will come out on Thursday. And with no Thursday night game this week, you have even more attention to really hammer down on how to fill out your roster. And if you listen to me, you're probably going to lose like I do. If I just listened to the FTN guys this week, FTNdaily.com, by the way, if you want to use the projections, get all the articles, code Mayo gets you a discount. Talked up Chase Claypool, and I was like, Chase Claypool, give me a fucking break. That's never going to hit. And then all of a sudden, people are winning huge bucks playing Chase Claypool, and I'm here using like Jeff Smith, who catches 3 of 11 targets. Thanks a lot, Jeff. That's what I get for trusting someone named Jeff Smith. You know what I'm saying? I did a recap show with Chris Meany that is up on Mayo Media Network right now and on the Pat Mayo Experience podcast feed. Highly suggest you go check that out. We talked through what happened on Sunday, our initial reactions, and we didn't really touch too much on the waiver wire. We had a little bit of a debate on some of the receivers, but at the same time, I wanted to give it a little bit more time to play itself out, knowing the injury. So this could be the template moving forward. We do the recap on Sunday nights, and then Monday afternoon, I hit you with the actual waiver wire pickup power ranks. If you want to find the updated list to the injuries and the pickups, you can find that in the description of this video and up on dkplaybook.com. I will update that again on Tuesday morning and then Tuesday evening. If anything changes, guys will get moved around. I'll even touch on the waiver wire if there is anything new to add with Jake Seeley on Tuesday's Week 6 ranking show. Let's get into it, though. First up, we got the running backs, and one thing that Meany and I did not hit on Sunday evening was the Dalvin Cook injury. That has propped Alexander Mattison all the way up to number 1 in the Week 6 running back pickup power rankings. Now, obviously, Alexander Mattison is likely owned in most competitive leagues, but I looked over on ESPN and on Yahoo, and he is owned in less than 60% of leagues, so he has to make the list. That's how this works. I would like to be able to tailor the power rankings to your league specifically, but obviously, I don't know your league. You'd be surprised, like the wide range of questions I get of, these guys are available in my league versus these guys are available in my league. It's like, oh, I can go pick up, I don't know, like Devonta Freeman still, or I literally have no running backs to pick up. I need to pick up a third string Browns running back. So this is just the way that we're going to do it. You can use the entire list. So the top 10 go Madison, Damian Harris, Cam Akers, Chase Edmonds, Justin Jackson, Phillip Lindsay, Naheem Hines, Dearness Johnson, J.D. McKissick, and Latavius Murray. The Dalvin Cook injury appears to be a groin. This week, the Vikings are facing Atlanta. It's a nice matchup. Then they're on bye week. This is why I would think that Madison gets the start in Week 6, goes on bye Week 7, then maybe Dalvin Cook can come back and play in Week 8. Maybe not. Maybe this is a more serious injury. It seemed kind of strange that they put him back into the Sunday night game only to take him out again and then say, like, yeah, this injury might be kind of serious. So, idiots. I guess they needed to win that game. You put your best player back on the field. Hopefully you can win. Didn't make a difference. They lost anyway. But at the same time, Madison's in a fantastic situation. Mike Boone hardly saw any snaps. You can find the entire snap guide to the Sunday games in the waiver wire pickup column as well. I've been tweeting it out, posting it on Facebook. So it's very easy to find if you do want to go see what the actual snap shares were for running backs for each team and go check that out. But there was a huge discrepancy between Madison and the Boone King. So Madison, if he's out there, like he's a pickup and play him for sure in Week 7. That's why he's number 1. Justin Jackson at number 5. I'm very curious to see what happens in the Monday night game, to see what the split realistically is between Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson, because as Meany and I discussed a little bit on the show on Sunday evening, that well, we do both think that it's going to be Joshua Kelly in this lead role. If it just turns out to be Justin Jackson as the 60 guy and Kelly as the 40 guy, and that Jackson just assumes the Eckler role, now, I'm not going to be the most super stunned guy in the world when it comes down to it, but I'd say it probably has like a 35-40% chance of happening, but that still means it can happen. If you play in Yahoo leagues, sometimes, depending on your league settings, they will allow you to go pick up players before the game actually starts. If you haven't played a player on your bench for the week, you can drop that player. So So if someone got hurt or someone sucks just to begin with, and Justin Jackson is still out there right now, just recommend you go pick him up. Why not, right? Alexander Madison's in that Latavius Murray situation, although Murray is owned above the 60% threshold, and for whatever reason Madison is not. I guess it's because you can't play him if Dalvin Cook isn't hurt. Just almost like, I guess there are weeks where you can play Latavius Murray if Alvin Kamara isn't hurt, but you never know which week that's actually going to be. I guess with Michael Thomas missing the Monday night game, that maybe Latavius Murray gets a little bit more of extra run, but you still don't know that. You know Kamara is touching the ball. You don't know that Latavius Murray is going to touch the ball. It was the same with Madison, but now that you know that Madison, Murray, and I guess Mike Davis are the three most viable handcuffs, it doesn't look like the injury report saying that Christian McCaffrey will return in week 6. He could return in week 6 per the injured reserve, but I guess he's still too injured. The 4-6 is still playing itself out for its injury. So another week of smashing Mike Davis, who's been fucking fantastic so far this season. Just continue to ride with Mike Davis. Meany talked about him being a sell high, but unless you can get like supreme value for him, most of the offers you're going to get just aren't worth what Mike Davis is actually worth. Like even for 1 week of Mike Davis, where he's a top 12, top 10, top 5 running back, depending on how it's going. If he went on this pace the entire season and just played and Christian McCaffrey didn't exist, he'd be on pace for over 150 receptions. Like he's a top 5 fantasy running back without Christian McCaffrey around. But he said he saw someone trade him straight up for Julio. Yeah, that was a deal that I would end up making, but people are going to be offering you peanuts for Mike Davis at this point, knowing that Christian McCaffrey is going to come back. You're best off just holding on to him. And if McCaffrey is out, another 3 weeks instead of another 1 week, then all of a sudden you get 6 total weeks of a running back one. It worked out pretty well in your favor. That's what you want out of a pickup. That is the optimal situation, realistically, that you picked this guy up. He did everything that you thought that he was going to do. No one took away his carries, and when the starter comes back, the starter comes back, he goes to the bench, and you're never really pressed to have to play this guy again, because I don't see it being a 50-50 split. It could be, but I would just say that's very highly unlikely when you have an offense that seems to run through one back, and your one back could be Christian McCaffrey. Seems pretty sensible to me that that's what Matt Rule would continue to do in this situation. J.D. McKissic, I had at number 9, like I had mentioned. In this situation, this is a very deep league PPR play that if you're going to do it, he did actually receive a ton of work from Kyle Allen in 2-minute drills after Kyle Allen left from Alex Smith. It does appear like Kyle Allen is going to get the start against the Giants in week 6. He'll have recovered from his arm injury. There is no ceiling to J.D. McKissic. It's unlikely that he'll ever score a touchdown. But at the same time, you can probably pencil him in for like 5 to 8 targets a game. And if you're running in a deep league and you're decimated injury, or you're dealing with new bye weeks that you hadn't accounted for yet, because the Chargers are all of a sudden on a week 6 bye when they were not projected to have a week 6 bye, that if you tried to plan out your team, well, I have guys to cover this week and guys to cover this week, that's at the fucking window at this point. So someone like J.D. McKissic is someone that could potentially get you like 8 to 15 points, depending on how good his receiving week is. If you can make one guy miss and turn one of those catches into 30 yards, you're looking like not bad at the position where most guys that you pick up are just literally going to get you 2 points. So McKissic does have some value. Again, with Latavius Murray, I had to take him off the power ranking list. I initially had him in at number 10. Like, he's someone who should be owned in your league. Like, in terms of viability, this week, it's doubtful that he, like I said, he's ever going to have like substantial run. Now, if Alvin Kamara didn't exist, he's a top 5 running back, just like Madison's going to be a top 10 running back without Dalvin Cook around. So you need to own him on your team. You need to have that bench spot for Latavius Murray, because there are only a handful of running backs in the league. It's almost the same as like I have Tony Pollard at number 15. Like, if you're not going to pick up and play Tony Pollard, but he should be owned over someone like, I don't know, Wayne Gallman, who I have a bit higher, who, I project to score slightly more points next week. That's what makes pickup rankings really hard. It really depends on your team. So just think it through just a little bit and go with that route. Wide receiver pickups for the week, I still have T. Higgins at number 1, Claypool at number 2, MVS at number 3, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, solely because Allen Lazard is still probably like at least a month away from returning at this point. I don't think it's just going to be the Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan show as we go forward. Although, Tonyan's a pretty decent pickup right now, especially with the Packers through their bye week. You get these guys all around. Devontae Adams is probable to return in week 6. He's practicing on full on Monday. After that, Preston Williams, Christian Kirk, Henry Ruggs, Chenault, N'Keal Harry, Zach Pascal, and everyone's favorite guy, Travis the Jail of Fulgham. Don't know how sustained his production is going to be moving forward, but listen, as I told Beanie on the Sunday evening show, I'm prepared to be wrong on this, but that's just not an offense I really want to be investing in, especially when all of the pieces start to return. Once you get Deshaun back, once you got Alshon back, and once, Hightower is running more routes, or Sega-Whiteside gets mixed in more, and then Goddard's back, eventually there just become too many players that you see the snap shares decrease, and then all of a sudden, what are you left with? Not much. I'd rather take the chance on the other guys that they can develop into a more sustained role. They're going to be more consistent every single week. After that, it's like your regulars, Hardman, Traquan, Tim Patrick, Russell Gage, the Bees, Cole Beasley, Keelan Cole, Greg Ward. I do like this Colin Johnson guy on Jacksonville. Just after going back and watching that game through again, he was a first look for Gardner Minshew a lot of the time. He's a rookie. He's obviously getting more ingrained into this offense. DJ Chark is banged up. No word on whether or not he's going to play in week 6. I think that he probably will play, but we'll see how that goes throughout the week. He just seemed to be incredibly athletic. He only ended up catching 3 passes, but he was just a first look a lot of the time. And when you're talking about deeper leagues, guys that are completely unknown, he is a guy who is completely unknown. So whether he turns out to be something or not, if you play in a 14-team or a 16-team league and you're shooting for upside, Jacksonville is a team that projects to be down a lot in games and having to throw. And if he can pass Cole and get on the same level as Chenault and DJ Chark, or if Chark misses time, he could develop into like the third option, or potentially even the second option, or even the deep option on this team, because a lot of teams are just double teaming Chark right now, that he could draw a lot of one-on-one coverage, get down the field, and just have big strike capabilities. So he's a wait-and-see kind of guy, but if you do play in a deeper league, you might have to go get him now for $1 before anyone really catches on to what's happening in Jacksonville. The full scope of injuries: Deontay Johnson got hurt. No word on whether or not he's going to be back and how much his absence was tied to Chase Claypool having a bonanza game. It does seem like you're playing roulette a little bit with these Steelers receivers week after week. We just saw Juju do nothing. Do we expect Juju to do nothing next week? I mean, I don't know. When I'm doing my rankings, I'm sure that I'll probably have Juju ranked the highest of the Steelers receivers, but he's going to be a little bit lower on the pecking order because it just seems like in any given game, it can be any one of them. Like if James Washington outscores Chase Claypool next week, that's incredibly viable, put it that way. So it's a situation where it's going to be a wait and see, that if you start Chase Claypool after he scores 4 touchdowns and he ends up with a 1 catch for 11 yards, you have yourself to blame for that one. It's probably going to be worth the risk to put him in because of his upside, but at the same time, you can't just be relying, well, that guy's a wide receiver 1 now, that guy's a wide receiver 3 now. No, he's going to be incredibly inconsistent. So just be aware of that before putting all of the beans in the middle of the table here and just pushing all in on Chase Claypool. Definitely a pickup for sure. No one's not saying that. I have number 2 in the pickup power rankings. Just be cognizant that he could be relatively inconsistent when it comes down to it. Sammy Watkins hurt his hamstring. DJ Chark hurt his ankle. AJ Green hurt his hamstring. Chris Hogan is getting an MRI today on his knee. Michael Thomas is not playing Monday evening because of disciplinary reasons. It looks like Mike Williams will play in the Monday night game. That's still about 50-50 right now. AJ Brown expected to play in the Tuesday night game. If that game definitely goes, it looks like it is definitely trending towards playing, but you never know what happens on Tuesday morning. No Tre'Davious White in that game either. So AJ Brown in decent play. Humphreys and Corey Davis both expected not to play, both on the COVID list. And then the guys who did not play were on bye week. Julio Jones, no word on him yet for next week, but it did look like he was close this week, so I'd probably expect him back for week 6. Devontae Adams should return. Alan Lazard's going to be out for a while still. Then you have the Godwin, Deshaun Jackson, Sterling Shepard, Brashad Perriman, Alshon Jeffrey, Brian Edwards here, where we're just waiting and seeing what's going on with their injuries at the moment. They should be back sooner rather than later, you'd expect. But hey, Deshaun Jackson's been out since week 1, and every week it's like, oh yeah, he's probably going to play. Then he doesn't play. So until he's actually back, I probably won't believe it. Not that you should be too concerned about Deshaun Jackson anyway. Tight end pickups. Right now, I got Schultz, Tanyan, and Jimmy Graham. Those are my top 3, and those are probably the 3 that you need to go pick up. After that, it's like Eric Ebron, Logan Thomas. I got Mo Alley Cox still on there, although Trey Burton has ran the most routes and been the most productive of the Colts receiver. I just think that Mo Alley Cox is the best. But at this point, unless you're playing in a super deep league, there's no reason to run him out onto the field because he's not scoring fantasy points at the moment. And then Greg Olsen at number 7. But every week in Seattle, it could be someone else. It could be Hollister. It could be Walt Disley, as we saw on Sunday evening. So Schultz, Tanya, and Jimmy Graham, and even Schultz, we're back into a wait-and-see situation of what's actually going on with Andy Dalton. Will he prefer Schultz? Will he prefer Blake Bell? Will he not want to throw to his tight ends like Dak Prescott did? So it's a tough situation to be in. Quarterbacks, Dak obviously out for the season with his ankle injury. Cam could be back next week. Darnold could be back next week. Drew Lock could be back next week, and it looks like Kyle Allen will start in week 6 against the Giants for the Washington Footballs. The big one to watch out for is Baker Mayfield. Took that shot at the end of the game, ended up coming back in. People are comparing it to the Sam Darnold injury from the Thursday night game where he got injured, ended up coming back in the game. Now, Baker already said he's playing because he ain't no wuss. His family didn't raid no wusses. But at the same time, he could be dealing with like a separated shoulder that we don't know about. He's going to get MRI on that. The MRI came back on his ribs. They're fine. So now it's a shoulder injury, a throwing shoulder injury they have to worry about. The line in that game is only 3.5 for the Steelers right now at DKPlaybook.com, or it's DKSportsbook.com. DK Playbook is where you find all of the content, my content at least in terms of written work, also up at FTNDaily.com too. Those two places for football stuff. But if you wanted to make that bet now in the off chance that all of a sudden, he can't play and Case Keenum is playing quarterback, maybe that isn't that huge of a difference in your mind, but Baker has been really sharp in pocket awareness, and he looked really good in that game before he took the shot to the shoulder. I've actually been quite impressed with Baker. Frankly, I'm stunned that he has shown this much improvement year to year. Maybe it's just getting Freddie Kitchens out of town, bringing in Stefanski. All of a sudden, just improving the offensive line in general. But he's dealing with that pressure a lot better. He's biding time. He's using his legs a little bit more and looking downfield, utilizing the amazing weapons that he has around him. But if he is dealing with a shoulder injury, the Steelers defense is not the one you want to be going up against. So all of a sudden, what do you think that line could be with an injured Baker or or Case Keenum just starting? 6.5, 7, if you knew that. So maybe everything's fine and Baker is fine, but it is just something to monitor going forward. The best quarterback pickups I have for the week right now, I got the Fitzmagic in another revenge game, 90% of his games. He's at home against the Jets. It's funny. In a potential smash spot against the Seahawks a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago to be exact, Fitzpatrick didn't play well, but scored 26 DraftKings points anyway. So it's a situation where he just keeps churning out great fantasy weeks week after week, regardless of the matchup. It feels like he's going to go pumpkin sometime soon, and that's always the worry with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But in this matchup against the Jets, who stopped nobody, you got to roll him out there. He's a top 10 option this week. I have Andy Dalton at number 2. Now, he's probably the better long-term pickup when it comes down to it because he's going to be starting in this offense the rest of the season. Anytime that you can grab a quarterback who's going to have to throw 45 times a game because their defense sucks so much, it's a guy that you want, especially with the weapons that he has around him. And he gets the Cardinals this week, who you can pass on, no problem. And they're probably going to be putting up points against this Dallas defense, taken to the air once again for Andy Dalton. So I think he's a viable top 12 start this week. Kirk Cousins against Atlanta, Tannehill against Houston, Gardner Minshew against Detroit, all low-end QB1, high-end QB2 options. If you're in a pinch, they're available. You can go pick them up. I would say Stafford's on that list against Jacksonville, but he is above the ownership threshold right now. Week 6 defense rankings. I got New England against Denver. New England was dropped a lot because they didn't play this week. So depending on your league, you could just see them floating out there on the waiver wire because people had to make a last-second change to drop them for week 5 because they didn't play, pick up another defense because, the Denver matchup was so enticing. I don't care if it's, Cal Ripken Jr. playing quarterback or if Drew Lock ends up coming back. It's a nice spot for the New England defense, especially with a week of rest and probably getting Gilmore back and Cam back for this game, which they wouldn't have had in week 5. So they're the number 1 pickups: Miami, Washington, Tennessee, Green Bay, Arizona. I'll probably throw the Giants onto that list too. I'd really hammer down on my defense rankings after a lot of the new data has come out on Tuesday evening. So I'll try to update those and my defense rankings in the rankings column once they come out on Tuesday morning. That's one that tends to get adjusted a little bit because they look at new adjusted sack rate numbers. And now that we're so far into the season, I can actually isolate by last 3 weeks, quality of opponent against offensive lines going up against to see who is actually dialing up realistic pressure and not just, playing Houston every single week and be like, oh yeah, they got to the backfield. They're great defensive line. It's no, they played the shittiest O-line in the league. Let's take that one out and see how they do against the other team. So that data tends to come out a little bit later in the week. I know that's not super helpful in terms of going to pick up your defense, but at the same time, I would really want to hammer down on who the actual sleepers and waiver wire pickups are. I usually hit on those mainly in the DraftKings show on Thursday, if that's a route that you want to take, because I have all the full data at that time. Then I have the salaries next to it. Most of the defenses that I find that are cheap are the ones that are still available on your waiver wire as well. So just a heads up on that one. Yeah, that's basically it. The only tight end injuries that I forgot to mention, Jared Cook looks like he's going to play on Monday Night Football. Tyler Eifert left the game with a neck injury. Noah Fant could be back for Week 6. He wasn't going to play in Week 5, but he could be back for Week 6 with his ankle injury. Jordan Akins missed the game with his concussion, although he cleared concussion protocol. They didn't play him. We'll see if he comes back for Week 6. And Dallas Goedert, he didn't play again. We'll see when he's back. Could still be a while for him. Thank you for watching the mini version of the Pat Mayo Experience Waiver Wire Pickup Show. Share the show around. Check out my updated power rankings up on DKPlaybook.com. You can also find that in the description. In the description, too, you can find the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League link. And don't be afraid to smash the like button for this video. And in the comment section, tell me your favorite waiver wire pickup of the week. Any position. Like I said, could be a quarterback, receiver, tight end, defense, running back. Could be nothing. Just be like, nah, there's no one good to pick up this week. Can't go pick anyone up. That's going to be the end of it. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll be back on Tuesday for football with Jake Seeley and the rankings for the week. And in the meantime, I'm going to have a golf quick preview if you're interested in wagering or playing some DraftKings golf. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!